Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome Jason Day back to the interview room. Jason, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Jason, you've gotten off to a wonderful start this year. You finished in the top 20 in each of the PGA Tour events that you played in. After not playing in the 2022 Masters, you come back to a place where you've had success finishing 4 times in the top 10. Please tell us a little bit about your journey back here to Augusta National.
Yeah, it's been it was disappointing to not be able to play last year's event, and this event has always been special to me and my family, and we've always enjoyed coming here and just playing. I mean, I've always, as a kid growing up, watching Tiger win and all the past, the Masters champions, and watching them win, and being able to play here each and every year was a blessing. And then unfortunately I wasn't able to play last year, and then granted a lot of things were going on in my life personally, and then physically I wasn't in the grade of shape, I guess you would say, and then to be able to be back here this year is very special, so I'm looking forward to a good week.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad you're back.
Thanks.
With that, we'll open it up to the floor for questions.
Jason, can I ask how you did spend your Masters weekend last year?
Watching golf, actually. It was not. It's obviously. It was nice to be able to watch it, and I didn't watch too much of it, but I think it was more out of the sheer disappointment that I wasn't able to compete, just because I've been the last 11 years I was playing at this tournament, and then I think mentally I was more disappointed in myself not being able to compete here and play in the majors, especially because my world ranking ballooned out so far, and it hit my confidence a lot, not being able to play in the majors, and been slowly trying to work my way back inside the top 50, and then trying to work my way back up the world rankings as well to be able to play in these events.
Darren?
Hi, Jason. A lot of your peers is talking about how great your swing is as you're playing ridiculous golf, whatnot. I mean, can you quantify where your swing is now, comfort levels, and competing in the pressure, and obviously are you confident it'll hold up in a major week?
It's good, but I would like to be able to go out there and play with a couple of swing thoughts. Right now, I'm thinking about making sure that I have good hip turn on the way back, that the right elbow flares out, enough on top of the swing. I have a little bit of a squat going into transition. The right arm goes down the right side of my body. I rotate, get my hands low, make sure that I bow my left wrist and get my right hand on top. And you got to compete as well. So, I mean, they're the things that I'm thinking about constantly on the range. And then I would say that if I could move it to the point where I could maybe have 1 or 2 swing thoughts, that would actually help a lot. I mean, if you go and watch Rory on the range, or even play golf, even Tiger, these guys look like they're just free-flowing everything. They can hit any shot. I'm kind of physically forced to be able to have to think about this stuff out in the golf course, just because if I don't, then I go back into some bad habits, and that can potentially harm my back. So I'm forced to be able to have to think about this stuff. I would say that like the majority of the major issues are taken care of. It's just like the small little things that I have to that really minute, small things that you don't really see to the naked eye, or people see to the naked eye. But the things are moving in the right direction. The strike and the flight and the trajectory, the spin, the way it comes out is starting to. I'm starting to have a lot more control. The next step is being able to do everything and be able to shape shots. That would be the next thing.
Having all those thoughts going through your head, is that keeping you in the zone, or is it holding you back from winning? Because you're obviously having great results.
I would say that there's definitely times where it holds me back, just because through a tournament, you might have a day where you fall back into some old pattern stuff, and you constantly got to work yourself out of it. So you know, when I was back in 2015 and 2016, my swing wasn't as technically sound as it is now, but I kind of knew my tendencies and I didn't really have a lot of swing thoughts. I just kind of aimed a little right, hit these pull draws, and I just kind of knew exactly where it was going. So I'm trying to gain a little bit more control in my swing and more consistency, because you know, through my career, I've always had a really good short game. I putted really nicely. I've driven it pretty decent. The one thing that's held me back is, you know, my approach play. And I think with the current changes that I'm working on, hopefully that improves the ranking there. And if I can kind of get back to my putting the way it was, you know, in 15, 16, then that'll definitely yield more wins for sure. I just got to be patient with it.
Doug?
Jason, when you make the progress you've made to be trending the way you are, it's always a process, but I wonder, can you go back to a single starting point, turning point? When you start getting better?
I would say last fall. We were just mainly working on a lot of body stuff.
Who's we?
Sorry, mate?
Who's we?
Me and Chris, okay. and mainly the team as well. My two trainers, Kevin and Ton. So I mean, the amount of ground stuff that I have to do that not a lot of people see. There's a lot of work there, but yeah, it's probably like more along the fall where I started like gaining a little bit more confidence, because I struggled with my putting for a good 2 years, and I couldn't start the ball on line. I didn't have really good speed control, and when that happens and you're not hitting it that great, then obviously you're struggling. But then I would say the fall I played some good golf, and then we said, okay, because I was actually impatient with Chris, and I said, look, I've got to make changes, because he's always talking about slow bleeding stuff in, and I said, look, I don't have a lot of time. I need to make these changes, and I'm going to force him in there. And, you know, it was over Christmas break when I started working on some of these newer moves, and they're starting to take a little bit more hold. And obviously it's great to have the results that I've had this year, but I really haven't put myself in position to win tournaments. So that would be the next step.
Mark?
Hey, Jason. When you look at the form that guys like Scotty and John Rahm and Rory are in right now,
Yeah.
how far away does that feel to you right now from where you're at, as resurgent as things have been this year? And you know, how close do you think you can get to that?
Oh, they're playing some good golf. Yeah, it's actually really exciting to see. I mean, I played against Scotty in the match play. I tell you what, if that guy, I know that he's a good solid putter, but if he was top 10 in putting, he'd dominate for a good long while. He's got a really good head on his shoulders. Rory's been a very dominant force in the game of golf for a long time, and John is such a solid player. I mean, his top 10s to how many events he's played is unbelievable, the percentage. So to get back to that, I think it feels like a long way, but I know that it's not that far. It's hard to be patient, and I was just talking to Doug about it. It's hard to be patient because you see guys succeed and you know that you can do it. It's just really, really difficult to be patient, but just small little things happen along the way, and things get gradually better and better, and then all of a sudden you're back there. I mean, last year I was 175th in the world, and I'm back to 35 in the world now, which is nice. So.
I could just quick follow on that. I mean, because you've been there at the top, 15, 16, that stretch there, how much of an advantage is that to know that you can do that again, because you've touched that level before?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting. I think I'm more excited by the journey and trying to get back there, and that's what I was so excited about when I got to number one in the world. I thought I would feel a little bit different when I'd wake up on Monday morning and see my name at number one in the world. It didn't really change too much, but I think the thought process of working my way through it, and it comes from a different place this time around, whereas when I got to number one in the world, it was sacrifice everything, It came from a very hard place. Sacrifice everything, very like forget about how your body feels, just kind of just force it in there. And this time around, I'm kind of learning more about how my body is working, what I need to do to keep myself healthy, what I need to try and do to change my swing and understanding the swing itself, and really trying to learn more about the process of getting there. And I always say it all the time. The first time that I got to number one in the world, I didn't know how I got there. I know how I got there, but it was just through sheer great putting, hit it okay. But I just putted off the charts, and and the mentality wasn't sustainable. So it's this time around, I'm enjoying the journey. I'm learning each and every day, and I've got a lot of love and passion for it.
Anne?
Hi, Jason. Yeah, I was going to ask, with all these issues going on physically, have you been able to practice as much as you'd like?
Yes. Actually, probably a little bit too much. But, it's, I don't know. Like, I think I looked at my phone the other day. I think I've got like 8,000 videos and probably 7,990 of them are golf swings, so it's constantly working. And the great thing is that, when I was injured, I could only putt 15 minutes at a time. And now I can, if I wanted to, I could stretch out 2 hours, no problem. So it's just trying to be as smart as I possibly can. But it's been a good learning experience, going off, when to listen to your body, because that's the hardest thing. Because back in the day, I would putt 2.5 hours a day, and it would be sore. And my mentality was like, nah, you got to push through it. Because that's how I was, and that's just not the case. It got me to number one, but it wasn't sustainable.
Reggie?
Jason, I'm curious. You missed it, of course. You weren't here last year. Did it bring maybe a new appreciation or a new perspective of what this event is? And for someone who's played it so many times, how special is the Masters to somebody who's never played it before? Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely very special to be back here playing. I mean, it's my favorite tournament to play in for the year. It's great memories, from finishing second my rookie Masters to, almost winning in 13 when I had the lead with 3 holes to go. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed it, trying to understand the golf course, and it's a difficult one, but overall, it was disappointing that I didn't get to play in it last year, but I think it's that much better to have, disappointment and then a delayed gratification of being able to play in it this year.
Mary Kate?
Hey, Jason. Can you describe your feelings and mindset on the first tee and how they might change from Thursday to Sunday?
It all depends if I'm in contention. It's a little bit different when you're 50th on Saturday and Sunday. You're kind of just like, there's not as many nerves. But when you're in contention and the 4 please is said, then it goes dead quiet, and you can't hear a thing, which is fantastic. But the mindset changes gradually. I mean, right now everyone's enjoying themselves Monday through Wednesday. It's great. Everyone's having a great time. You got the par 3 on Wednesday, and then Thursday happens and it gets a little bit more serious. And then once it comes down to Saturday and Sunday, then it all changes. It's totally the intensity. It just intensifies so much more than from the start of the week to the end of the week. It's unique, but I'm glad that I've been here a few times to be able to, understand it.
Brian?
Jason, when you told Chris this fall that you wanted to implement more changes because you don't have a lot of time, why not? What do you think that your future looks like?
What do I think my future looks like?
Yeah, why don't you have a lot of time?
I'm sorry, I missed that last
Why don't you have a lot of time?
I'm 35, turning 36, and I get older and the kids get younger. Every single year there's a new batch of young players that are coming out and hitting it further and longer, and it's interesting that sometimes I laugh because I have to compete against them because they're tough. But the good thing is that golf is not. You got to understand that golf is not about it's not like football or basketball where your athleticism can create an extra step on your opponent. It doesn't matter about that. Yeah, you can lose a little bit of speed, but you can gain that back too through some training and all that stuff. But it's more about the experience and short game and understanding how much pressure you can take when it comes to trying to win a tournament. That stuff's hard. I mean, it's difficult. Yeah, no matter, you can have guys hitting it 350 yards long, but you still got to putt and chip and work your way around a golf course, kind of like a chess match. And if you don't have the mentality, then you could be a great ball striker on the range, but if you don't have that mentality to try and finish it and get it done, then it means nothing. So with that being said, I mean, I feel like, for the longest time I said I'll get to 40 and I'll think about retiring. I've enjoyed the journey with Chris and my team so much that I feel like I can play to 50 now, which is great. And it'd be nice to get another good 10 to 15 years out of my career and actually see what this second half of my career could unfold. And I obviously got a little inspiration from, Tom Brady. The guy was an inspiration to a lot of people, but for him to be that old, and I'm not saying that he's old, but for him to be at that young age of 45 and being competitive in the NFL, which is it's remarkable, to be honest, is a true testament to what his ability, and then obviously the mental ability that he has. And I think in golf, it's even better if you keep yourself healthy and you can still hit a decent length. You can be competitive for a long, long time.
Krishnaswamy?
Jason, it's great to hear that you think that you're not too far from the top guys. And then you spoke about some of the youngsters. I'm a great fan of the Asia Pacific Amateurs, where Australian youngsters do very well. And the event is going to be in Melbourne this year. The Australian youngsters do well. Australian coaches are training Japanese youngsters and bringing them up to really, the upper levels. What is it about? What is it that Golf Australia seems to be doing right? And will you be there in Melbourne when the event happens?
Yeah, I think I played with Harrison Crow today. I mean, I just feel like these guys are better prepared now with all the technology that we had, especially when I was growing up. I didn't have the technology that these kids have now, but I think through just the accessibility of social media and other forms of that, you're able to view professionals hit golf shots on the range and seeing what they're doing, how they're good, and then obviously that actually helps with the coaching as well, and that coaching aspect as well. Back in the day when I was growing up, you couldn't FaceTime your coach. It was really non-existent, and we had handheld camcorders, that were taking videos, or cameras that were taking videos. These days you can actually take a video on your phone, send it to your coach, and then jump on FaceTime, and then so it's just everything's just so much more efficient, and that goes along with the training as well. And plus, the golf courses down in Australia is some of the best golf courses you've seen, especially down in Melbourne, and that sets apart a lot of guys in the creative side of their game. And I think if you can grow up and have some finesse, but also have power, that yields a lot of success. And you're starting to see a lot of those young guys play really, really well because of that aspect.
Todd?
Jason, on that Australian theme, this is the 10-year anniversary of Adam winning the Masters here. And you talked about you being in the throes that year as well of competition. Looking back, how impactful was that win to you and your fellow Aussies?
It would have been nice if I won, but no. But it was nice to be able to see Scotty win. I mean, he was my favourite player growing up, outside of Tiger Woods. So to watch Scotty play and I mean, we've been close, with Norman, and there's a few other guys in there that have been close to trying to win this tournament, and no one had ever won the Masters from Australia. And I think that was the that was a good thing, because now we don't have to worry about it. Like, you know, no Australians ever won it. We just got to go out and play now, which is great. But I can't believe that it's gone that quick, you know, for it to be 10 years. You know, I just still remember, sitting, you know, in the clubhouse watching the playoff. And it seems like yesterday that I was sitting there watching the playoff. And like, I remember sitting to myself, I'm like, man, I'm so disappointed that I wasn't able to either finish it or get in that playoff. But it was bittersweet, because, you know, you're seeing Scotty play and then you watch him hit that putt in, and then the emotions that came out of him was so raw and so fantastic to be able to watch in like live on TV. Yeah, it just makes you want to, you know, feel that as well. So, yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of good memories for him coming back here each and every year, and I can't believe it's gone 10 years.
David?
Jason, we're talking about top players and mentioning John Rahm, Rory, Scotty Scheffler, so forth. We haven't seen much of him because he's at Live Golf now, but the Open champion, your countryman, Cam Smith, would you still put him in that category? I feel like we maybe forget how good he'd played last year.
Oh, yeah. Cammy Smith he had a tremendous year, you know, winning the Open Championship, winning the Players. Definitely vaulted himself up to these guys, that status of playing tremendous. I mean, putted so well through that stretch as well. Did a lot of things great, had a tremendous short game, wedged it unbelievably well. It's just hard now, because, you know, obviously with what we have, you know, with the two tours, and just the slight divide in, like, some guys over here, you know, and the majority of guys are on the tour. You don't get to see him week in and week out. So it's actually, I haven't seen Cammy Smith this week, but I'm looking forward to catching up with him, because I saw a bunch of the other guys out in the range, and it's nice to see their faces again. And I've missed them a lot, because a lot of those guys were my friends, and still are my friends. And it's nice to see their faces again.
Anand?
Thank you.
Jason, is it unusual for you to arrive at a tournament as early as this? I mean, would, for example, 10 years ago, you have turned up in time to play on the Monday morning? And secondly, can you identify, please, can you differentiate, please, the Monday to Wednesday here with Monday to Wednesday at any other tournament?
Yeah. So typically, when I prepare for this week, before we had the women's amateur and the drive, chip and putt, I would get here Friday, and I'd play 9 holes Saturday, 9 holes Sunday, Monday and Tuesday 9 holes, and then take Wednesday off and typically play the par 3 contest and have my family come out. So this is a week that I typically do it at the US Open, the PGA, the British Open. I typically don't do that, prepare as early as that. And in regards to Monday through Wednesday, for the most part, you're playing pro-ams, you know, for the most part of the year, and then obviously you sprinkle in some of the majors where you don't have to play the pro-ams. So typically you're getting up Monday, Tuesday, and you're playing 9 holes, maybe. They have a pro-am on Monday, so typically I'm working just at on the practice facility, play 9 holes Tuesday, play 18 or 9 holes on Wednesday. And this week you kind of got free range to do whatever you want. So I went out and played 9 holes this morning. I'll probably play 9 holes again tomorrow. And then Wednesday's a little bit more fun. So, but you got to, I get here and I was talking to my coach about it. I said, I've got to be cautious, because the facilities are so unreal that you feel like you could stay out there all day and work on stuff. And you got to just be really careful to not work too hard, because then you're pretty much, you know, you kind of going on fumes by Thursday. So I'm trying to ease my way into it.
Anand?
Thank you. Jason, I want to ask you about your journey, particularly from 2015, and if you could reflect on perhaps how you have grown as a person outside of your golf, because so many physical and emotional things have gone down during that time for you. Yeah. And I empathize with that journey. The second part of that question for me would be, you're back at the Masters, you love this tournament, obviously. If I had to ask you to maybe recollect 3 of your best memories from here, that would be the second part. Thank you.
Okay. The first question's a long one, but yeah, I mean, 2015, 2016, you feel invincible, like it's never gonna leave, and you're gonna be on the top of the world for a long time, and then all of a sudden you get injured, and that mountain can be very jagged if you fall down it, but it's all in how, I guess, you treat people along the way, and the support you get along the way as well. That's why you got to be very, very careful with what you say, because if you say the wrong thing and you can offend some people, I guess, then a lot of people are looking like they're going to catch you, but they're letting you fall, so because they want to see it. So you got to be really careful in that regards, and obviously going through personal stuff with my mum, and having her pass away, and then like I said, the injuries and trying to rebuild my golf swing. I mean, it's been an unbelievable learning experience, a very humbling experience, to go from the #1 player in the world to 175 and then working my way back. It's been a fun little journey. I've actually enjoyed it. Obviously not my mum passing away, because I'd rather have her back. But to be able to go through this and try and, I guess, reinvent yourself is unique, and I've enjoyed that thoroughly. And getting to the experiences of Augusta and my top 3, I wouldn't know. I think one of my top 3 is definitely when I was standing on 16 with the lead in 2013, and losing that lead was an experience. Something more valuable than actually when I finished second in 2011, when I birdied the last 2 holes. I enjoyed that, but I learned so much more from 2013 and losing that lead and going through that stress and the emotional side of it was a far more valuable experience in my view, and being able to learn from that was huge for me.
Evan?
Jason, now that you've rebuilt your game and your swing, do you feel like you could approach this golf course differently, and is there anything in that?
I would say that if I have a good week with the swing and I'm able to control my trajectories and flights, then yes, 100%. Just because I know that it's a second shot golf course, and if you're able to control your irons into the greens, it definitely makes things so much easier. You're not like, 11, for instance, if you can hit that green 4 times in a row, you're laughing, and you play it even par. You miss it right, you're pretty much dead. You don't want to miss it left, either. But I would say that I'm a little bit shorter, so there's less. I'm going to be less aggressive this year, just because I can't. I'm not going to. I hit a fade with my driver, so I'm not going to attack 13. 15 can be difficult, so I'm going to lay up there. The only ones that I'm probably going to attack is 2 and 8. But I think the average score is 12 under here, something like that. So I just got to kind of pick and choose my way around. You've got to be very patient around this golf course. You can't force anything here.
Follow up, the way you hit the golf ball now, sort of left to right, I imagine, as opposed to right to left, the way you used to hit. Do you think you're more suited now to Augusta, or are they 2 different things?
You've got to be able to work it both ways here, I would say. I would say that I hit it left to right with my driver mostly, and then my irons I can work both ways, which is nice. But we'll see how it goes. I'll talk to you Sunday, and then I'll be able to tell if I did a good job or a bad job.
Jason, thank you very much for your time today, and best of luck the rest of the week.
Thank you very much. Cheers.